few days ago, I made a video talking about the Keras and its potential use cases, and today I wanted to do a follow-up video showcasing the Keras in action so you have at least a visual representation of what it can and cannot do. Now, I didn't want to do a full-on guide, so today I'm resurrecting an old series that I was doing a long time ago, and that is the series known as Unpopular Methods, in which we take a boss and combat style that usually don't go together and fuse them together to see if it's really as bad as people think, or if there might be a hidden diamond in the rough. And today's episode is going to be no different because we are doing melee at Sanctum of Rebirth. Now, the reason melee is not often used at Sanctum of Rebirth is because it is based off of movement mechanics. That is the main gimmick with the entire dungeon, and since melee has to be, well, melee distance to the boss, you get forced away a lot and can't take advantage of various safe spots that the other styles can. However, in testing, this preset that I have come up with here seems to be punching well above its weight class, at least as far as what my expectations were. And what I'm trying is the most basic melee setup I can think of, which is where you run a Ripper Demon and a full scripture. You don't worry about crit chance at all, and you let the big damage that Zerk can do just sort of take care of the damage aspect and hope for a full proc or two. And I've seen this setup used at Raksha, I've seen it used at Zami, I've seen it used in several places that a lot of melee camps will live at, and they seem to do it for, at least from what I can gather, very much a consistent rotation that allows melee to just farm out damage. Because the only real benefit you get from doing a full crit build is being able to spam out Dragon Claws, and while in some situations that is very nice and very effective damage, in terms of a melee camp setup, it's not exactly ideal because you're dealing with the RNG nature of crits. And honestly, I'm not sure which is better, but the benefit specifically here is that we can just sit on the Desert Amulet. Since we're not worrying about spamming out D-Claws or anything like that, we're just going to let the rest of the melee abilities sing and pump out the damage that they normally do. Now, I'll be perfectly honest, I have not kept up to date on what a modern Zerk rotation is supposed to be. A lot of my melee rotations of recent have been crammed into a hybrid setup where I'm releasing an Assault Bleed with Dragon Claws after I've built up a Natty Instinct, an off-style crit buff, things of this sort. So I believe we still want to bleed destroy so that we can get a Hurricane in at the tail end of the Zerk. However, for this dungeon, I have kept it brutally simple and just bled assault, use destroy, use a greater flurry that's fully channeled, and an overpower if there's flanks available. Sometimes I use them, most of the time I don't. This is by no means an optimized setup or optimized kill times or optimized rotations in any source of the term. It appears my PC has decided to take off into space. So all I'm going to show you in this episode of Unpopular Methods is what I've been doing so far, and you can take as little or as much information as you want, or use this as a springboard into fully optimizing melee camp at NAKATRA, and tell me in the comments below what you find. But I think we should go ahead and get geared up and just get right into these kills. Alrighty, let's go ahead and try vermyx. I'll grab some adren. We hit a DBA. Yeah, we'll hit a DBA. Why not? Go ahead and run in. Hit Sanctum. Hard mode. Go ahead and cross. What is nice about with this setup, even though it's just standard, is just Zerk here. We got a Relent proc there. That's pretty nice. We'll bleed the assault. Hit a G Fury and overpower. Maybe like a basic or two. I'll hit Flurry for 2 hits just because I can. And that's already phased. Like, we don't get the little spikes or whatever. Something I can do here while diving into these and running to all the tiles just to make sure my Ripper's all topped up. And here I can barge. Flurry bleed. So hopefully that one dies. Try not to die ourselves, and then just roar easy K here. Hit some bleeds. We got the little spikes thing, so I can just set here. And I want to make sure this one dies, so I'm going to put a bleed on him. And an ability. And just search dive over to this guy. Usually that one dies when you like bleed and do other stuff on it. I put a blood flurry and use your destroy on it, but sometimes it doesn't. But here I'm just gonna Zerk, and we have a pot, might as well use it. Make sure my desert amulet is on. Charge up the Ripper. Use our disrupt shield. Make sure it's vulned. And it seems to use one range and one melee attack. And we'll just deal with this accordingly, but it's already dead. The average time I've been seeing so far is in the 130s, maybe a 140 something. Like there was a 140 flat. And no loot, but that's per usual. We don't really care about rares from this boss because it's either the prayer codex, which is worth nothing, or the scripture that's worth nothing. So all right, let's go ahead and go on to the second boss. Alrighty, let's go ahead and try Kezalam. Now I forgot to activate darkness on the first boss, so definitely feel free to pop that. Kezalam, for whatever reason, is my worst boss by far out of the three. I just cannot seem to click with this boss, if that makes sense. Like there is just zero comfort here with me, so I'm just gonna go through and keep it basic. If there's any boss that has a lot of room for improvement on anything that I do in this episode, this is the one that has probably the most room for optimization. So let's just get into it. From here, I just Zerk, and you can just barge to start. Maybe bleed the assault. Use a couple of abilities, and overpower maybe. Maybe smoke cloud into destroy. Get the other stuns. And a flurry to finish things off. And I'm just gonna lang spec the shards or whatever. Get out of them easy. And here, what I actually need to do is use my easy K to ZGS. So that way I actually get the T100 ZGS, because it goes off of weapon tier, not based off of the damage output that you get from the weapon. And plus I don't think Keras works on this anyway, so get that over and done with. And I'm just going to build up adrenaline from here. Re-Vuln Bomb just because I will forget later. We do a little anticipate here, and then a Zerk. I'm just going to divert one of these hits and then barge. I'm somehow targeting the Moonstone? Okay, that's interesting. I don't remember hitting target cycle. Here I'm going to run out a little bit far so I get this attack. And then I can just disrupt shield the next one. And here I'm just going to Chaos Roar into an easy K. Got my jaws, kind of spam some hits out. And this guy I can just stun now. Might as well. Do some damage on this guy, and then I'll stun this one as I run over. Anticipate so I get my barge. Okay, I somehow click that and get... You know what? I'll make it work. It's fine. Weirder stuff has happened before. Be a lang spec. Basic flank. And it seems to work. Alright, so it is melee he still hit me with. Go ahead and Zerk. Maybe disrupt shield. Use our A-pot and bleed destroy using assault. Oh, we got this attack, so I'm just going to lang spec to get out again. This is even for my standards, this one is kind of slow. Usually I see like a 240 average here. I'm just going to destroy here. Stun. Maybe another stun just to avoid the attacks, and it's dead. So that's a 3-minute kill, I think. Yeah, 3 flat, so it is what it is. Definitely not my finest work. That's slow even for my standards of this place. But I think what everyone wants to see here is a NAKATRA kill, so let's just go ahead and go do that. Alrighty, let's go ahead and run a NAKATRA. Grab our Dragon Battle Axe. Now on the beginning part, I have about a 50-50 shot of clearing the first phase before we see the like magic onslaught attack where she tosses out like 3 10k hits through prayer or whatever. I think it's 4k through prayer. But what I do is I kind of just run to this tile. Then I'll hit Zerk with A-Pot, Surge, target cycle Barge, release Smoke Cloud with Salt, and then Destroy. G-Fury as I run back in with an Overpower, and then hit Flurry. And it seems like we got the phase this time. Yeah, we did. I'll go ahead and Chaos Roar. Easy K-Spec. Get the bleeds out. Then just dive away as needed. I should probably put the helm on so I actually get some damage. Or some adrenaline, I should say. I'm just gonna like basic and bleed my way from here. And here, I'm just gonna Devotion. Maybe toss another bleed. I accidentally equipped my Lang, so I'm gonna hit an Overpower here because I can. And here, I'm gonna anticipate. Zerk and Barge again. Lead the Assault. Run away with an ability that's stalled, and then release and destroy. Try not to eat too many of those. And run over to this guy and give him a stun so he doesn't kill me. And she was on 600 HP till phase. That's kind of annoying. But it is what it is. I'm gonna barge the little dog over here, whatever it is. Maybe I'm gonna try and say its name. Magic Prey as I run out, or fail to run out. You can stun these, which is interesting. But just gonna run through in Threshold. I'm eating a lot more food than I usually do. Run out. Use Destroy. We'll split some HP. And here I'm just going to run in and overpower Lang Spec. Go for a pre-phase. I got a decent one. Better than I usually do, honestly. And here I'll just run in. I hit Reflect while I'm not targeting anything, so I get it for free. And that's kind of basic on the dogs here, or the felines. The dogs are outside, these are the felines. Except I'm getting demolished still. Cheese and rice. Go ahead and click. Those two. Play some Pictionary. Go ahead and barge in. And now what I like to do here is just run through NAKATRA in order to avoid this attack. And I wait till that tick there to run through. And you can just use abilities as you're going through, just fine. Now here I'm just gonna Devotion, get my easy K out early, and just kind of dive as needed. That was actually kind of nice. Sometimes these patterns can be nice, but most of the time they're just gonna be annoying for melee. And under 100k, honestly, not a terrible phase or phase 4 part 1. Kind of the closest I've been to a 1 cycle is 10k. That's the closest I've been so far, and I think it's just because I'm letting her heal during the dogs phase. Got those two pictures again. Just go to the one that's the opposite. Now with 91k. I'm just gonna barge Assault. I'm not gonna bother with Zerking. Maybe hit an Overpower. Another ability. Run through. Now, something you can do on that movement is, obviously I'm standing on this ring here. And when you see the inner ring, so there's a 1x1 that spawns under her, and then there's like the 3x3 ring here, because she's standing here. there's a 1x1 that spawns here, and then there's a 3x3 that spawns here, then the 5x5, and then the rest of them and whatnot. So essentially what happens is you'll see the 3x3 ring as soon as you see it just about to close, just as if you were on one of these outside lines, like when people mage or necromancy or range, they're doing it off of these tiles here. That same timing that you use here, you can use to just run through to the other side. And sometimes if you run through, what you can do is you can hit destroy or assault or anything like that, any channeled ability as you're running through or before you're running through. And then when you decide to run, you just click on the boss again and you'll pop out usually on another side or one of these other sides, and you can just rotate your camera. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but in practice, it works perfectly fine for dealing with phase 4. And we'll just see what we got for loot, which is nothing per usual. But that is Melee at Sanctum of Rebirth. Thank you very much for watching. Your viewership is greatly appreciated. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, nighttime, whatever it is, wherever you are, and I will see you next time for the next video. Peace.